couple of years ago, someone hit the rear quarter panel of my parked Tesla Model 3 right beside the charging port. Here's what the aftermath of that collision looked like from a couple of different angles, and even though I wasn't at fault for the collision, well, it still meant that I had to go through the entire process of getting things fixed, which was nothing short of a major pain that cost my insurance a lot of money and still resulted in my premiums increasing as well. Now, I've loved my experience as a Tesla owner over the years, which is why I've since even purchased a new version of the Model 3 when returning my previous vehicle that suffered the slight collision. But in the 5 years of being a Tesla owner, that experience dealing with bodywork was by far the least enjoyable aspect of owning the vehicle. So today's video is meant to shed some light on my experience dealing with a Tesla certified body shop, as they call it, and to give you some insight on how much these cars cost to repair. Alright, so to give you a bit of context about what type of damage took place, essentially I was parked in a tight parking lot during the evening and someone trying to leave hooked the back of my car, which resulted in bending inwards the sheet metal of the rear driver's side fender. Luckily, the individual in question let me know, so I was able to file an insurance claim and not be at fault whatsoever. But I live in the province of Quebec here in Canada, where even if you're 100% not at fault, when you file an insurance claim, well, that stays on your file for several years and then results in an increase in your premiums for a couple of years, which totally sucks. But after receiving the quote to fix the damage, there was just no way I was going to pay out of pocket immediately. Now, where things start to turn south though in regards to the whole process is that, as you know, if you're a Tesla owner, all service calls are done from within the phone app, where you submit your request and then someone reaches out to you from Tesla with the next steps for your issue. Most of the time, smaller service items are going to be completed directly at a Tesla service center, which is usually, quite quick and efficient. But when it comes to body work specifically, many markets don't have their own Tesla collision centers, as they call them. Rather, this work is outsourced to third-party garages in your region that are considered to be certified by Tesla. Essentially, they go through this process where Tesla shows them what to do and how to deal with their cars, basically. Now, that being said, based on what I can find on Reddit, it seems like even in some areas that do have actual Tesla collision centers, appointments could even be quicker to obtain at certified body shops, right? Those third-party garages, which based on my experience that we'll get into right now, I find kind of surprising, to be honest. But I guess it comes down to volume in each individual market and how bad the drivers are in your region. So yeah, once I submitted my ticket in the Tesla app, I was quickly directed to contact one of only 2 certified body shops in my region of Ottawa, Canada. And this is where things turn sour a bit. But of course, everyone's experience is going to be completely different, so take this with a grain of salt. The collision took place in February, and the earliest appointment to even get the work assessed was 2 months later. But I didn't really have a choice, so I went with that. And from there, once the damage and costs were assessed, the earliest appointment that they had available was in August. So basically, I drove around for nearly a year with a bent rear quarter panel, and there was nothing I could really do about it short of driving to, say, a larger market like Montreal or Toronto, where it probably would have been quicker, but that was my only car at the time, and they needed to keep the car for a couple of weeks to repair, so that just wasn't an option for me. Now, that was almost 3 years ago now, so hopefully things have improved since then in regards to timelines and maybe even adding some more Tesla certified body shops. But I definitely think that's a pitfall, as you're pretty much forced to go to a small number of body shops that are certified to work on Teslas, especially if damage extends to any form of electrical component, which leads us to the cost. Considering it's Tesla, I'm sure you guessed by now that this repair wouldn't be cheap, even though it's not a lot of damage. But take a second to comment down below what you think this type of damage would cost. So all in, the total cost of this repair was over 5,000 Canadian dollars. And that did not include the week of a rental car that was required as well, all of which was covered by insurance though, luckily. And that is the reason why I didn't just pay out of pocket, even though my insurance premiums went up by around 50 bucks a month, which definitely sucks. But you know, $5,000, doing the math, it still made sense. The reason why it was so expensive though is because initially when I went in the winter and the car was still pretty dirty, they had quoted me around $2,000 to do the work. But then in August, when I brought the car back and they were able to do a full more reassessment, the damage was too severe to do whatever they said they were going to do. I guess bend back the metal, resurface it, and then paint it. They had to order that entire part from Tesla in California, which took a lot more time as well, and also cost quite a bit more because it's one massive piece of metal that I suppose is also more complicated to reinstall, and they also get it non-painted. So they had to also paint that entire panel. All that to say, around 5,000 Canadian dollars to get that done, plus a week's worth of rental car, which was I think like 650 bucks. So nearly 6,000 Canadian dollars here. Now it should be noted that luckily all of the damage was strictly cosmetic in this case, even though it did extend all the way down to the rocker because that is all one panel, and the damage was too severe to simply bend out and refinish. They had to change that entire component, which is relatively large, and they had to order it from Tesla in California. So it took quite a bit of time to arrive and was very costly. That being said, nothing touched the electrical components or the battery, which are the two factors that skyrocket Tesla repairs even more than what I experienced. And this is often leading to total losses in some cases because the cost of the repairs becomes simply too high to be worthwhile. In fact, my insurance broker was telling me that since around 2020, premiums on Teslas and EVs of all kinds nearly doubled in many areas, here in Canada at least, as even smaller collisions often lead to tens of thousands of dollars worth of repairs as the expensive battery packs get damaged and need full replacement. So that's definitely one of the downsides of EVs, and even more so the fact that each manufacturer has their own set of procedures for installation and repairs, which boosts up costs and reduces the amount of professionals that can end up conducting the work on these vehicles. But yeah, so had this collision impacted the charging port itself, cost would have been much higher. That is a guarantee. Now, on a separate note, last year I had a major lapse in brain power and ran over a skid of concrete pavers parked in front of my house, which led to some pretty nasty gashes in the front bumper of the car that were actually relatively deep, significantly below the paint and into the plastic, along with a gash and indent in the rocker panel. So I contacted Tesla about this, and they ended up quoting me around $1,800 in Canadian dollars plus tax just to replace the front bumper entirely, which is definitely a lot, and that still left the rocker to be fixed as well. So instead, since the front bumper is made of plastic, I ended up going to a smaller body shop that sanded it all down and repainted it. All in, it cost around 1,000 Canadian dollars to get the front bumper repaired, and they also fixed the side rocker panel as well, both of which were pretty much perfect to the naked eye. Reason I'm bringing this up though is because if you have any body damage that hasn't affected any metal sheeting or electrical components, it's definitely worth your time to shop around and get quotes from small body shops like I did as well, because going directly to Tesla is a surefire way to be a very costly repair. If you've had any body work done on your Tesla or were ever in need of visiting a certified Tesla body shop, comment down below your experience and how much things cost you. I'd love to know. And if you do have a Tesla yourself and enjoy my videos and would like to support the channel, one of the easiest ways you can do so is by shopping my Amazon storefront, link down below in this video's description and pinned comment, where you can find some great accessories for your Tesla. It is a great way to help support my work. So thanks a lot for watching. Check out one of these two videos right here. I'm sure you'll love them. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one.